joined with Sean Covich, the head golf coach at West Virginia. Thanks for the time, coach. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, your team's coming off a victory by six, school record 55 under par at the Island Resort Collegiate. Just tell me about your team's victory. Just what it was like, winning in record-setting fashion.
Yeah, it was unreal, and haven't really told a lot of people this, but I guess we'll break the news here with you. But my during a practice round, probably on the 13th hole, I got a phone call that my father-in-law had passed away, and so I continued the practice round with the guys, but then on the 18th hole, just kind of informed him the situation, and I needed to go be with my family.
Okay.
So I left basically the next morning and made my way back home. So that left the guys and Coach Chorus, our assistant coach, there to run the plan, execute the plan, and I told them business as usual, and
Yeah.
nothing should change. They're well trained, and so I had to be a spectator in some regards of just watching live scoring, and just could not believe the scores that they were shooting. And they played some inspired golf, and but I felt good about it in a sense of we've been practicing and qualifying and doing the things we need to do. So I trusted that group, and it was pretty incredible what they accomplished.
Yeah. So just how was, being a spectator, just your team performing so well, and just, how do you feel like Coach Corus did, just navigating so, quickly taking over the team?
Oh, he did great. He did great. He's going to be a great head coach one day, and this was a great, opportunity, kind of, be there on your own and see how you want to do things. And like I said, personally, for me as a head coach, you want to empower your players, your staff, your coach, your coaching staff, so that if you're not there, things they know what to do, they know the standard, they know what to expect. And Coach Chorus certainly held the standard, if not elevated it even more. And so it was great. He did an awesome job, and there's not a guy I would trust more to be in charge of our team than Will Course.
Yeah. And for you, as you mentioned, obviously you weren't able to be there for the tournament, but just what was it like for you to see your team shoot 55 under par and shoot school record score and have your team go first, second, and third individually with Ryan, Caleb, and Nick going 17, 16, and 15 under.
Right. I mean, to look at the individual leaderboard and have a West Virginia Mountaineer first, second, and third was
Yeah.
pretty incredible. But I really think that this tournament, or this scoring record victory, if you will, started at the end of last year when we took pretty similar group out to the National Golf Invitational, which is kind of the NIT of college golf. So we didn't make it to the NCAA, but we got an opportunity to play postseason. So we took a young group out there, I believe two freshmen, a sophomore, and a couple of juniors, and that's where they sort of gained experience being in the lineup. So this tournament wasn't, their first time out there in the lineup, if you will. And so guys like Ryan Leach and Nick Tarowski, who were freshmen for us, really grew up a lot, I think, at the end of last year and all through this summer. And they're a lot more experienced and doing a lot of things better than they did last year. And then we get guys, like Caleb, who's arguably our best player, and a steady senior. That gave guys like Jack Michael and Harrison Thompson, some guys to lean on and go out there, and they knew their team had their back. So it was interesting because this is a new lineup for us. We had three seniors last year that graduated, and they
Okay.
kind of dominated the lineup. And now we got a lot of new guys, and they're showing that they're very talented and capable to kind of run with this program and take us places we've never been.
Yeah, and you mentioned your team last year played in the last season played in the National Golf Invitational in May in Arizona. So just how was that, experience? How does that experience help your team and what is it like this year, having a new lineup as you mentioned? You had three seniors last year, so having, a fairly new lineup this year, how has that been so far for your team? I mean, pretty successful this past weekend in Michigan.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we only have one data point, if you will, but that point was very successful. But I think last year, getting those, like I said, getting the young guys out to Arizona and saying, okay, here you go. You're in the lineup. You're gonna start all three rounds, and this is a postseason tournament. And we viewed that the National Golf Invitational last year as the start of this year, not the final of last season, because a lot of those guys just didn't get an opportunity to get in the lineup last year, and if they did, it was just very sparingly. And so to just hand them the keys to the lineup, say, here you go, you're gonna, go play in this postseason event. I felt like that was the building block for setting the foundation for this year. And then just, qualifying a lot and saying, hey, you're going to have to, go out there and earn it. And, we have a rule to get a spot. You need to win and you need to shoot under par. There's no, pillow fights for the fifth or fourth spot at, 77, 75. Like if you're doing that, we're just going to pick. But so we kind of set a high standard. If you need to perform at home, you need to compete at home, you need to treat qualifying like a tournament. Because if you do that, then when you show up to a tournament, it's just another day where you kind of run your routine and hopefully things fall into place like they did last week.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. So now your team, after a successful opening tournament in Michigan, your team will go to Minnesota starting on Sunday. So just how do you see your team keeping the momentum this weekend in Minnesota?
Well, as I talk to you right now, we still need to wrap up qualifying, so we don't know exactly who's going. We know at least three guys. They finished
Yep.
first, second, and third in the previous tournament. So, Ryan and Caleb and Nick will be going. But we'll figure out who's going to go in the 4 and 5 spot. But I mean, God, we've been trying not to get past square one all year, and that's just how do you prepare? What is your routine? What do you trust under pressure? Are you preparing yourself to play well that day? Um, whether that's practice, whether that's qualifying, or it happens to be the Gopher Invitational win song, so be it. But like when you get to the golf course, you need to know what you need to do before you put the tee in the ground, whether that's for the practice round or the tournament rounds. And as long as we do that, then we're fine. I think we'll deal with whatever happens at that
Yep.
point. But if you skip those steps in the preparation, then it's not going to go well. So I think that's why, we played well at Michigan because we stuck to the process of the preparation, and we just, need to do the same thing and keep doing that over and over and over until the seasons, they tell us we can't play anymore.
Yeah. So then after Minnesota, at the end of the month, you'll be hosting the Nima Collin Collegiate Invitational in Pennsylvania at Mystic Rock Golf Course. But can you just tell me a little bit about this tournament and Mystic Rock Golf Course and just hosting this tournament?
Yeah, last year was the first year that we hosted it. It was
Okay.
very successful and it was awesome. Golf course is phenomenal. It's a Pete Dye design. It's not easy. Usually anything even par or lower is going to be pretty good. And so it's only like about 40 minutes from our campus. So we go up there, once a week, maybe twice a week, certain weeks, but they're very good to us. So we started this event. I think we have 19 teams coming, so it's a very big field. A lot of teams from this region will be up there, but yeah, it's just another opportunity to play a course that you know, and I don't have to get on an airplane, which is nice. So when I come back from Minnesota, I won't have to get on an airplane for like a month, and so being able to host at quote unquote home is always nice. So we have this event, in the fall, and then we have our other home event at Pete Dye Golf Club in the spring. So yeah, it's just a good opportunity. Everybody on our roster know that they will play that event. So freshmen that haven't quite got an opportunity yet will, they'll get an opportunity there to play. So a lot of benefits to hosting a home event.
Yeah, you mentioned a good opportunity for your players, hosting a home event. For you as coach, what is it like, both being a tournament host, both in your fall event and in your spring event, and, also having your head coaching duties?
Yeah, it's stressful. It's
Okay.
it's you feel you've got this huge list of things you got to get from,
Mhm.
snacks and signs and scorecards and cart signs and rules officials and marking the golf course and just,
Yeah.
all the little things that you want to do to make the event special. That list like never you feel like you're never on top of it, and then the event just starts sooner than you want. But So it's definitely stressful, but I love doing it. I don't know why, but I love hosting events and trying to put on a good time for everybody, not just my team, but everybody that puts our events on their schedule. So we want to make it great for them. We have great golf courses, so it is stressful leading up to
Yep.
it. But then when you get to see our guys get to play their home courses, it's totally worth it because hopefully they have a little bit of advantage knowing the golf courses, and so that's a big reason why we do it. And hopefully some of our families that live around here can come out and watch our fans or donors. So there's definitely a lot of benefits to hosting, even though it is a lot of work.
Yeah, I asked that question because I know being around some other coaches who I'm close with, that there's a lot of other things that go into hosting a tournament, for coach. So, coach, just tell me a little bit about 20 your time. You've been at West Virginia since 2014, and your team made the NCAA championship in 2024. So just tell me about your time, coaching about over 10 years at West Virginia now, and how special it was, in 2024 to make the national championship.
Right. We just finished our 10th season, so we call it the first decade, Mountaineer golf because they didn't have a golf team until we brought it back 2015, 16. So there was about a 35-ish year hiatus where there was no golf. They had golf in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and then the early
Okay.
80s, they cut it. We brought it back in 2015, 16 was our first year. Obviously, weren't very good the first year or two, but we had some really good players, some guys to build around. Most notably, I would say Max Sear, who's playing PJ Tour Canada's, Etienne Papineau, who's on the Corn Ferry Tour. Then eventually guys like Matthew Sharpstein, Mark Getz, Max Green, Todd Duncan, Logan Perkins, Jackson Davenport, a lot of guys that were helped, just every year it seemed like we got just a little bit better, a little bit better. I think by our fourth year, we actually made it to the NCAA regional, almost made it to nationals that year, missed out by two shots. Then COVID happened, and then kind of a slow rebuild back to what you referenced earlier, making it all the way out to California for the national championship 2024.
Yep.
Um, and so that was a crazy run because honestly, the season was very up and down. If you would have told me we were going to nationals at the end of the fall, I would have laughed at you. But the guys got hot in the spring, and then we went on a stretch there, our home tournament, Big 12s, and then regionals. And that was a team effort, really, that whole year. Guys that, maybe didn't play out in California, but the reason we got to California is because of what they did for us. I've never seen a year where guys just stepped up. Might have been one tournament, might have been a semester, and then they left the lineup, after that. But they did their job, and it was kind of like running back by committee. When an NFL team has three or four running backs, they all get same amount of carries. That was kind of that year where guys just we turned around to hand the ball off and they got a first down and then they went and ran to the sideline and somebody else came in. So that was a fun year, something I'll remember forever.
Yeah. So I didn't know that about West Virginia, but can you tell me a little about, just what it was like, bringing golf back to West Virginia, as you mentioned, just, what it went into that, just how it was, bringing golf back to, West Virginia.
Well, had I known how hard it was going to be, I probably wouldn't have taken the job, but I was
Yeah.
just dumb enough to do it. So no, I'm kidding, but it was just interesting. There's no book on, here's how you build a Division I Power Five at that time, Power Five conference in the Big 12 to compete against Texas, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, Oklahoma. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, you just got to figure it out. And it was difficult, but like I said, we kind of got momentum there by year three and four, and things turned around. But at the end of the day, and this is still the truth now, like you have to have good players, but those players have to be good people. If they're not that combination, you're not going to have a chance. You can have good players, but if they're not good people, your culture, your team vibe, your work ethic's not going to be there. If you have good people, but they're not good players, you'll have a good time, you'll have a good GPA, but you'll finish dead last. probably in every tournament. So you have to have that combination of good players and good people. And recruiting and figuring that out, and recruiting and who you offer is the backbone, the foundation of the program. And I don't care what we build facilities wise. I don't care what conference we're in. That's never going to change. You got to have good people that are good players. And that's got to be at the forefront of everything that Coach Course and I do, making sure that that's number one, that we bring good players, good people here, and then we can get to the golf stuff eventually. But that's kind of been the secret here the last few years is making sure that we do that. Um, I wish I would have learned that sooner in my coaching career because we all chase like rankings and scoring average, and we'll deal with the baggage later. But that's the most important thing, hopefully, to our program and the future of our program is just good players and good people.
Yeah. So, Coach, I was interested in learning about, West Virginia golf. So, can you tell me about West Virginia golf and just how your team, navigates, deals with the winters in West Virginia, and just how you get your team ready to go in the spring season because your spring season will begin in, South Carolina, then you go to Florida. So, just how do you navigate the winters and just get your team ready to go starting in the spring season in February?
Yeah, we so in the fall for reference, like the weather's fine. Like the weather's great.
Okay.
We never miss anything unless there's a thunderstorm in the fall. But
Okay.
you come back in January and it's cold everywhere and across the country. I mean, I've coached in the SEC and in Mississippi, and there's days in January you don't want to go outside there. So I think you have to deal with it everywhere. I mean, even places like Dallas, Texas get a lot of ice and snow and cold in January and February. So you're gonna have to deal with it in college golf pretty much everywhere you go. But the way we get around it, we in January, as soon as the guys come back, like almost every weekend in January, we're getting down south, whether that's Hilton Head or Jupiter, Florida, or West Palm Beach, Florida. We
Okay.
take, training trips and qualifying trips and kind of make sure the guys don't have too many classes on Friday so we can get out of here. And so we get a lot of rounds in. Actually, we may play just as much in January, February as we do, September and October because we're playing somewhere down south every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then we schedule pretty early in February places like Charleston, South Carolina, or Gainesville, Florida, or last year was Las Vegas. Maybe we go to Puerto Rico. So we're doing a lot of traveling and tournaments and competition down south. And before you know it, it's March and you're on spring break and you take a big trip down south, and when you come home, the weather's starting to get better, and then we're back down at Pete Dye. They open up late March, and we're, you know, get 2 or 3 weeks playing our home course, getting ready for the Mountaineer Invitational. So, honestly, it's not a big a deal as some people make it out to be. As far as, oh gosh, you're north of Memphis, Tennessee. It's like, well, there's a lot of Division I golf teams that are north of Memphis, and they do just fine. So as long as you're not soft and you can handle a little adversity and you don't mind a little hard work, this is a place for you. But if everything's got to be absolutely perfect, it's probably not the place for you. And honestly, you're going to have a tough life anyhow.
Yeah.
So we kind of embrace it. And like I said, we get to do some cool trips and go to cool golf courses in the spring. And it's actually kind of my favorite time of year because if the weather's crappy here, I don't really know about it because we're gone so much.
Yeah, it's great that your team embraces the cold weather and that your team's able to take, trips down south to play during the winter. So that's great. So finally, Coach, after your team's, great, opening season victory in Michigan, just what do you see, going forward for the rest of the season for your team?
Well, I see having to compete and qualify today and see what happens and hopefully have a good mindset. I think it's supposed to rain, so handle adversity. Make sure you got a good routine. And one round doesn't define you, but how you respond to it does. And I think you just kind of keep doing that over and over. We're trying to be, very intentional on making sure our guys have a routine, work on the fundamentals and things they need to work on individually every day because I think sometimes college coaches and myself, I've done this. We overcomplicate like how we do practice or how we do maybe in qualifying and things like that. And I just go back to like these guys had great summers. They played a ton of golf, high level golf at the USAM and the Sunny Hannah and all the elite amateur events that played well. Um, So what were the guys doing during the summer? They show up to the golf course, they'd have a plan, they knew what they wanted to work on was on the range or wedges or putting, go out and play. Like why all of a sudden would that change when they show up here? Like why would I say, no, 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 we're all gonna do, this now? Um, it's like if you have high level, high achieving, high motivated guys that are organized, then make sure they're just doing what they need to do to play really good golf. Because
Yep.
everybody's got their own formula. So that's what I'm looking forward to this year is making sure that we communicate that with each player. And it's like, just do what you need to do to play really good golf. As long as you're putting in the work and working on the right things, we're going to be fine. And so that's kind of our goal this season.